What's up, guys? This is Scoopman5000, and today we got a big review. Today we're taking a look at the Marvel Legends X-Men Anniversary Series Wolverine, and the obvious significance of this guy being the first ever Hugh Jackman Wolverine that we're getting in our hands from Marvel Legends, and I think one of the first Hugh Jackman Wolverine figures since the mid-2000s, early 2000s for those original movies. And you know, that's the big positive of all these movies kind of being under the Disney ownership, is now we're finally getting some good articulated versions of our favorite X-Men movie characters. And of course, the centerpiece to anyone's X-Men movie collection is going to be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. On the channel, we've already taken a look at the Cable figure, and you can check out that review if you'd like, but that does come in a pretty similar box to this. This is more the default X-Men, and then for the Cable and the other figures in that series for Deadpool 2, you do get a box that is the same shape, but you got kind of scribbles all over, and it's red for Deadpool. But taking a look at said packaging, on the front you do get a nice big window. You see everything you're getting in the box, which is Wolverine, a pair of some adamantium claws, and then a screaming face. Up top, obviously, you got Marvel Legends, and then on the bottom, nice big X-Men logo with Wolverine. On both sides, you do get a silhouette image of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It's the same thing on the other side, and then on the back as well, you get no read-up. Obviously, the figure does share the likeness of Hugh Jackman, but on both the Cable and the Wolverine boxes so far, you do get like a blacked-out image. So I'd have to think it's something to do with putting Hugh Jackman's face on the packaging. A similar thing happened with the Infinity War figures, I think, because there was a poster that had Robert Downey Jr.'s face, and then whenever you saw that on a figure, they put an Iron Man helmet over it. So it might be that same kind of situation, or I could be overthinking it and this is just an artistic choice. Either way, it's a clean package, but for me, for my purposes, I could not wait to take this guy out of the packaging. I've already been sitting on him for a few days, so let's get to it and let's claw open this Wolverine. And here's your look at Wolverine out of the package, and what a beast this guy already is, without even playing with the articulation, anything like that. Love how this guy looks. Love the silhouette that this figure poses. It's perfect representation of Hugh Jackman. I think this design comes to us specifically from Wolverine Origins, which obviously is not the best X-Men movie. But to be honest, this design for Wolverine, it's just the white tank and the jeans. Iconic look for Wolverine. And if you want to equate it to a better X-Men movie, I think of this kind of as in Days of Future Past when he wakes up in that hotel room. It could kind of be that Wolverine. That being said, from Wolverine Origins, I'd absolutely take sewn up Deadpool or even a Sabretooth from Wolverine Origins. I would definitely take those figures in a heartbeat. Maybe as some sort of exclusive 2-pack or something. For the accessories, if you want to call it that on this figure, they're all swappable parts. So on the figure, you're getting a stoic expression, and then for the first time, I think, on a figure, you're getting the bone claws on Wolverine, and that's what makes this kind of specific to Wolverine Origins. But then for accessories on the figure, you're getting the standard adamantium-coated claws, and then you're also getting a screaming head sculpt. And we'll take a look at that screaming head sculpt now. And honestly, with these head sculpts, I was pretty concerned with some of the images I saw, and the screaming one isn't the best, but at most angles it does get the job done, and especially the one that's on the figure. Overall, I think the head sculpts look a lot better in person than they did on those online images. I think it's this one in particular that's bothering me because the hair is kind of, looks like it kind of widow's peaks or something, you know, more than usual. It's got a big flap in the middle. On the, you know, the standard figure's expression, you see the hair is kind of brushed to the side a bit. That looks a lot better. It's just got the more natural widow's peak. But, you know, I guess he's supposed to be mid-action with this screaming head sculpt, so the hair is going to get a bit messy. As you can see with the hair, it's got kind of a dark brown paint, and then they do a lighter brown wash over it, and that looks pretty good. The beard is done in that same darkish color. He's got a nice gritted teeth expression, and you got to commend the face printing on these figures. You know, we've come really far in terms of $20 action figures. You're always going to get a good printing job. But yeah, especially looking at this head sculpt on the figure, that's about as perfect of a Hugh Jackman Wolverine as you can get for 20 bucks. And even with the other Wolverines coming out, I think there's one with a jacket, and then also the Old Man Logan with the Charles Xavier 2-pack. I can't wait to get that one. I don't even know how that one's available for order yet, or if it's not, but I can't wait to get that Logan 2-pack. But out of all the Wolverine figures, I do think this is the best one we've seen so far, and the best one we're going to get. I think this is a really good head sculpt. And it honestly is pretty surreal holding a Marvel Legends Hugh Jackman Wolverine. You know, he's just retired from the role a couple years ago, and, you know, even a couple years after that, we're finally getting a perfect representation action figure form of this guy. You know, because the older ones, they don't really hold up, those old Toy Biz X-Men movie figures. And even, you know, like I said, just having them like this, not even posing them around that much, not factoring in all these articulation, the pinless joints, which we'll get into, the butterfly joints, everything like that. Stand them up like that. he looks pretty fucking sick, if you ask me. He does have, you know, the wife beater tank top going on, and I can't tell if that, okay, so there's texture here, but then there's also like yellow. It might be a wash, or I don't know how it's printed. Up close it kind of looks weird, but you know, it's basically just trying to get it to like a dingy off-white, and at most angles that's going to look fine. I forgot to mention the dog tags here, and it doesn't look like, if you get it real close, it doesn't make out like James Howlett or nothing like that, or at least nothing I can read, but it does look good nonetheless. The big thing with the arms here is that I'm pretty sure this is the first Marvel Legends with the pinless joints for the double jointed elbow, and I gotta say, it looks pretty good on this guy, especially for someone, you know, who's just kind of got a wife beater on, but otherwise, you know, he's got the exposed arms and shoulders and everything like that. I think the only joints that are kind of ugly here is the butterfly joints because of that. But, you know, you pose him right, or, you know, you look at him from a distance, he's going to look fine. That's kind of my only gripe with the figure, is going to be how this is a little bit ugly right here at the shoulder. But yeah, the pinless arms on this guy, definitely a big plus. And obviously, them being the pinless brand new arms, they are a new sculpt all around, and they look good. I think they capture Hugh Jackman in X-Men Origins, you know, his physique pretty well. Like I said, you stand this guy up, the silhouette is there. And then we'll get a closer look at the bone claws here. Initially, I thought these were just kind of the adamantium ones, but done in that yellowy bone color. But they do have a bit of a rough texture to them, which is pretty nice. So it looks like it's cast in like a tan plastic and then washed over with like a darker mustardy color. And it does come off as some growth bone claws that he does have in X-Men Origins. And I think the only thing that tops this is those bloody claws that come in the Logan 2-pack. I almost want to buy multiples because bloody claws, I want to put them on every Wolverine that I got. So while he does come with the adamantium claws, you know, the standard Wolverine claws, I think for this figure, the uniqueness here is with the bone claws. So these will probably be staying on him. And then I'm probably going to pick up that leather jacket version for the adamantium claws, and then the Logan is going to have the bloody claws. I got to find a way to get my hands on that sooner rather than later. But I'm kind of rambling on, so we'll move down to the jeans here. But it does have some good detail, great gold paint on it, but it is well sculpted. It's always good to get a sculpted belt on a figure rather than something just painted on. And even for the jeans, probably some of the better jeans I've seen on a figure. On the back especially, you could see the crazy texture going on. On the front, it does have a lighter wash over it. And again, you know, this is a $20 figure, and you look at it, on camera right here. Very good looking for $25, $20 figure. I think another minor nitpick I might have is going to be with the shoes here. I can't tell if they're original, but they definitely don't look like it to me. They look like total reuse, and that's not really a huge deal because it is just the shoes, and you know, they're going to articulate well and everything like that, but it's just the one thing that looks reused out of a pretty much entirely original figure. It might even not be reused, but if that's the case, it just doesn't have the same attention to detail that the rest of the figure does have. And with that out of the way, we'll go into articulation. So the head is on the standard Marvel Legends ball joint. It doesn't have a hinge, which is kind of unfortunate. It means you can't really look back that much, and you go down just a little bit more. But you know, for Wolverine, you kind of get him to that pose where he's crouched down and his head's up, especially if you go and bring in that screaming head. And it is kind of a shame that you can't get him to kind of look up more, because, you know, realistically, you want him kind of crouched down and the head looking up about this much, and that's a good pose. So definitely a big missed opportunity not having a neck hinge, but I guess that's to kind of, you know, they're going with pinless joints and stuff like that. They want to, you know, not break up the sculpt so much. But again, you go into the shoulders here, the butterfly shoulders. They got the ugly kind of seam there, so I don't see why a neck hinge would have been so difficult. But enough about that. We do have the standard ab crunch that we're used to on Marvel Legends. Goes back all sorts and forward pretty good as well. Like I said, the shoulder does have a butterfly joint, which is pretty good and probably should be standard for Wolverine, who's going to be kind of extending his arms back all the time. He also does have the upper bicep swivel, great double jointed elbow, pinless again. And then the claw hands do hinge up and down as well as swivel. Does have a clicky waist swivel, very good splits on Wolverine. He's got an upper thigh cut that's a bit ugly because of the jean sculpt. He's got a double jointed knee, and then the foot is on a hinge, and then an ankle rocker as well. And that's about it for your look at Wolverine. So now let's get to my favorite part and do some comparisons. And here is Wolverine with his comic book counterpart, the Uncanny Wolverine, as well as the recent Beast figure. And, you know, I guess that was always the biggest complaint about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, is that in the comics he's always the little short, stocky guy, and then they go ahead and they get like 7-foot tall Hugh Jackman to play him in the movies. That being said, I think that the figure here is actually a bit shorter than Hugh Jackman would be in this scale. But even still, you could see he's a head taller than his comic book counterpart, and he's almost shoulder to shoulder with the Beast, maybe a little bit shorter. And then for your movie figure comparison, here we have the Deadpool 2 Cable, which we already looked at on the channel, and then we have the Stan Lee figure. And you know, this is about right. Hugh Jackman does tower over both of these guys, and obviously, like I said, in terms of accuracy to the comics, Cable is definitely not shorter than Wolverine. You know, if you want to go comic book proportions, you got big old Cable right here, and then you got a short Wolverine. So obviously, liberties were taken when it comes to these movies. But, you know, obviously, I think most of us can agree it was for the better, because for the most part, there's some rough spots in there, but, you know, the X-Men movies are great. It's really great that Hasbro is kind of celebrating the anniversary of these movies and giving us some great plastic representations of all, you know, the best characters. And overall, that's going to be your look at the new Marvel Legends Wolverine. And obviously, if you couldn't tell already, I was very excited to open this guy up. I've been very excited since they announced, you know, the X-Men figures last year. And I think the only thing that might top this guy is either going to be that Logan 2-pack or the Deadpool figure. And the Deadpool figure should be arriving soon enough, but I really don't know how I'm going to get my hands on that Logan figure. But like I said, I got to do it sooner rather than later, because that whole 2-pack is very exciting. So be on the lookout for those. You also be on the lookout for the Professor X and Magneto 2-pack, because I think I have that pre-ordered somewhere. And then also the leather jacket Wolverine. I'm probably going to buy any Wolverine they're going to make, that's for sure. I might even try to go completist with all these X-Men movie figures. I've recently made an Instagram for all the figure photography I take at the end of these videos. That's going to be scoopman_5000 if you guys want to check that out. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some photos I took of the figure. Otherwise, let me know what you guys think of this Wolverine figure. Are you going to pick it up? Do you care? Anything like that. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.